Good morning. This is Randy. I'm going to read a pretty vile article. It's by a popular pickup artist, but actually there is some good truth and admissions in the article regarding men that the guy exposes. I don't even want to say his name because he is well known, and I don't really want to give him any credit, but he's a big MGTOWer also. So he writes this article in 2014 called "At What Age Does a Player Peak?" I thought, oh, I want to hear what he has to say about this. And I think he's pretty right on. So he says, it's hard for a guy under 35 not to get excited when he becomes good at game and unleashes its awesome power. He sees firsthand how the female species has given 10 years of immense beauty while giving him decades more of potential peak performance where he can leverage his resources, resourcefulness, and experiences into getting women. I'm currently 34 and have not yet noticed a decreasing ability to lay beautiful girls who are college-aged. In fact, only somewhat recently have I made love to the youngest girl I've ever been with, 17 years old. And last year, my quality was probably the highest it's ever been. But I know this party won't last forever. So this 34-year-old guy's bragging about having had sex with a 17-year-old, just barely legal. And I do have to admit this guy is like very, very good looking too. So take that into account. He goes on, many women are surprised upon hitting the wall around the age of 35 when seemingly overnight they can no longer attract the studs they used to. Does this also happen to men? For the past 6 months, I've talked to some older players, and while men don't smash into the wall head on, there is an impact that tends to reduce both the quantity and quality he used to get without outright having to sponsor women. This last point is important because a 70-year-old billionaire can have a hot model for a girlfriend, but I will safely assume that you don't want a gold digger. Like me, you may want more or less a normal girl who has some real attraction for you that is not entirely based on your bank account. No matter how good your game gets, a 23-year-old girl will have less primal attraction for your 53-year-old self than when you were 33. This suggests that there is definitely a peak for men, and while there is some argument about the exact age, consensus among men I've talked to suggests it's around age 43. This won't hold true if your status skyrockets after 43, such as if you become famous, but it's safe to say that after this age, you will not get hotter women, younger women, or a higher quality of woman based on the same amount of work that you put in before. It means you will have to do more approaches per lay and spend more time on each individual girl to get her into bed. At an even later age, maybe past 50, you won't be able to get the quality you got before, no matter how much work you do without some kind of sponsorship or resource sharing, and this assumes you have the resources to do so. You may now be thinking, well, I'll be sure to settle by my early 40s to maximize the quality I get. There's a problem with that strategy. Relationships don't last forever. Even if tomorrow I get an amazing 20-year relationship with a beautiful girl, that still means I'll be single again in my 50s, when my sexual value is on the definite downswing. Anytime you hang up your boots with a woman, you're only delaying the next time you're going to have to go out to hunt again. That time will come again unless you are in the lucky 0.1% who has the type of marriage our grandparents had. In all odds, the relationship will end before you die and you'll have to hunt again. There's no escaping the fact that you'll have to play the game past your peak when it's difficult or downright impossible to get the type of woman you could before. In spite of the fact that we have a peak, any relationship you enter should be mainly based on your needs and the girl in question, not your age. If you're 43 years old and you truly don't want a relationship or children, you should not enter one just because your value has peaked, especially if it will cause a decline in your happiness. Even more damaging than having to chase girls when you're old is staying in a relationship that isn't right for you. But if you've had your fill of pussy chasing and meet a girl that you consider a worthy partner, you should do so as long as you accept that one day you'll still have to go right back to hunting in a much less favorable environment than before. Settling is therefore not an either-or alternative to playing the game. Not only may you have to play the game within that relationship to keep her attraction for you high, but if she does leave you or you leave her, you'll have to play it again to seek out another girl. I still have a good decade left to lay beautiful women, but I fully understand that there will come a time that I can no longer so easily do so, and that even if I do decide to settle with one in my early 40s, I'll have to hunt again when that relationship ends. I also understand that the girls I sleep with today may not be interested in me if I were to approach them 10 years into the future. Enter sponsorships. So I guess these guys who are able to pay for it, a lot of them are willing to pay for it. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Men have to ask themselves if, upon older age, they will settle with a woman that matches their declining value, one who is lower quality than they could get when they were younger, or if they will create an agreement with a more attractive and younger girl to give him the guise of a relationship in exchange for paying her rent, buying her a car, and so on. I've heard of these relationships in the Ukraine, and the most surprising thing is that you just can't go to a club with a stack of hundreds and throw it at a girl. You still need game in order to create such a sponsored relationship, because young girls looking for sponsors have their choice of many and will pick the one that she finds most agreeable to spend time with, even if she primarily just wants his resources. Since I'm a man, thank God, I at least have the option of sponsoring a gold digger. It's not ideal, I'll admit, but I'll leave it on the table to revisit when the time comes. This suggests that if you're a man, money is absolutely essential as you get older, when the natural attraction you elicit declines, in addition to possessing the game you are hopefully working on right now. The only thing worse than an ugly old woman who used to be a beautiful woman is a poor old man who used to be a player. When I was broke in my 20s, I could still get laid with decent girls through my game and effort alone, but when I'm older, I will need resources as well. Money and game, it turns out, are requirements that guys like us must have to keep this party going, possibly even into our 60s. Although we'll have to work quite hard for it, there will be no free lunch. Once the downswing comes for me, I will not be upset for most men must go through this stage of life. I.e. midlife crisis, decompensating narc, etc. Instead, I will explore other options to keep laying the women that I want. I must always continually innovate my game and be prudent about stacking paper. In the worst case, if nothing else seems to work, there's always Thailand. So, this prominent MGTOW player, pickup artist, reveals the maybe untold secrets that, oh, men actually do hit that wall that they talk about that women abruptly hit. Maybe they hit it more gradually, but they still hit it. And the difference between 35 for a woman and 43 for a man, that's only 8 years. So the bullshit they talk about how women's value declines, actually this guy admits that it declines with men, and it declines pretty damn early following how it declines for women. And therefore, this guy also admits that in order to get these hot young women, he doesn't even mention daddy issues. He talks only about resources. He also doesn't believe that anybody is going to have that relationship that maybe our grandparents had that lasted a long time, and that there'd be like 20-year max. And he wants to warn men that they're still going to have to go out back hunting, you know, and I'm sure that really sucks. I know it sucks for me, but there is some truth to it. Unfortunately, we don't have those long relationships like we did when our grandparents did. And so the later you have to go out hunting for another relationship, the worse off you are, both man and woman. And it truly, truly sucks. So, best case scenario, pick a good one early on, because if not, you're going to be fucked. Thanks for listening.